and Mal. As all good things are, I went to the launch of the new Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, or the PHEV, as it's affectionately known. And the obvious question for Mitsubishi Australia's big boss, Sean Westcott, was, well, the PHEV's great, but where are your EVs? And he got quite defensive, as you would, defending the company's position and strategy. And that was that Mitsubishi Australia would not bring renewable and green.
Yep.
He would not bring electric vehicles to Australia until the infrastructure was in place, so charging and a more robust power grid.
Yep.
And he would not bring electric vehicles to Australia until Australians were ready. My argument in my op-ed this week was, look, Australian consumers are more than ready. Ioniq 5 sold out in a couple of hours. EV6 is sold out for 2 years in advance. The Tesla Model 3 was the best-selling passenger car in March. We've got people like Michael Irma from Skoda, the brand director there, saying they're jumping straight to electric vehicles in 2023 and they're missing hybrids altogether. I think Australian consumers are absolutely ready. My argument about infrastructure, humans aren't very good at planning ahead. You only have to look at the national broadband network to see what happens when somebody like a government and private enterprise get together and they try to plan. That was a complete,
I think the word is schmozzle.
Schmozzle is the official word.
The official term. Yep.
Human beings are very good at breaking things and fixing them, and that's been the key to our existence as a top-line predator on the planet. We're very good at fixing things that are broken. We're very good at handling emergencies. We're not very good at planning in advance.
Well, I wonder, Mal, on the face of that, it seems like on the one hand, playing the long game, making sure that you're ready to give customers what they want and so they have a good experience. But the flip side is the cynic might say, oh, you're just sitting on your hands while everyone else is doing the heavy lifting, and getting the infrastructure in. What do you make of that?
I think Richard made a great point in his story that, when was the last time you saw a business reluctant to make money? Yeah. And on the topic of, waiting till Australia produces green energy, how on earth does he sleep at night, selling the plug-in hybrid EV Outlander that he was launching when he made that comment?
Yes.
Which, like, the whole purpose of that is so you can live the EV life and have combustion engine when you need to travel a long distance.
No doubt there's a certain irony there. You're absolutely right.
Touch of irony, yeah. Yeah, and, look, I support what he says, but I agree, Richard. I think there's more to it.
Absolutely. I mean, I've gone a bit further and I've actually said, I reckon they're bluffing, and I don't reckon they've got any electric vehicles at all. I think what they've done is they've invested a lot of money in plug-in hybrid technology, and they want to get a return on that investment before they shelve it forever.
Yep.
And then bring in electric vehicles. And Sean Westcott was quick to point out that we've got the Nissan Renault Mitsubishi alliance. And he pointed out that it's just like going into a filing cabinet. Richard, we can pick any platform we want and produce a Mitsubishi electric vehicle off the back of that platform. I don't disagree. I'm sure the alliance provides a lot of technology sharing, but even the alliance came out recently and said they're going to have 35 vehicles, but not until 2030. So I think sort of a Mazda kind of way. They spent a lot of time developing technology, but not electric vehicle technology, and now they're playing catch up really quickly.
Yeah, we should also.
Yeah, sorry, Mel, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we should also acknowledge that Mitsubishi over the last decade has struggled to have any cars in its, lineup. In that, currently just on the website now, they've got Triton, Pajero Sport, Outlander, Eclipse Cross, ASX.
Yeah.
Jump over to the Toyota website and you'll see, 3 or 4 times that much in a model lineup at the moment. Yeah. And the ASX has been around since 2010.
It's long in the tooth. It is long in the tooth.
It's at least a decade old.
With some facelifting here and there.
Just acknowledging
I think Jesus drove one at one point.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's a matter of opinion.
The first generation.
It's more the Middle East market, but yeah.
That's right.
All right. Now, but I think in the context of that comment, Mal, it's interesting and worth pointing out that every couple of years from 2013 up to 2017, which coincidentally or not is the time at which Mitsubishi joined the Renault-Nissan alliance, Mitsubishi was out there putting EV concept cars into the world. And so 2013 was the i-MiEV concept. And to quote Mitsubishi at that time, 2013, ever since it started R&D on electromobility back in 1966, today's Mitsubishi Motors Corporation always considered that electric vehicles should eventually become long-term core products, a view vindicated by recent concerns over global warming. And they also talked about a self-imposed objective of 20% of EV-based cars by 2020. And well, lo and behold, here we are in 2022.
So when that statement was made, that was before the alliance, though, wasn't it?
It was pre-alliance.
Yeah. So,
but that car back in 2013, nearly a decade ago, 300 kilometers of range. It had a 0.26 drag coefficient, 80 kilowatt motor, inverter and charger. It had it all going on.
Yep. But rewind back another 4 years and they had a production vehicle, which from memory, I think it was the first to actually launch a full EV, the i-MiEV in Australia.
They were. That was 2009. It was the first
Australia.
Mass-produced electric vehicle ever sold on the planet.
And I think it came here in 2011. It had disappeared by 2012.
Yep.
It cost nearly 50 grand. That price didn't change. And it was little, 3.4 meters long. And here's the thing. If you see one on Australian roads, that's a rare car because three were registered in 2011, 81 in 2012, and it returned to zero in 2013. So 84 cars, if you see one, that's a rare car.
But it's symbolic of Mitsubishi having made massive progress a long time ago, well ahead of everybody else. So they've gone from an absolute leader in this world to, no, we're not going to do it until it's okay.
And Westcott, he actually points that out. He goes, people think we don't know how to produce one. He brought up the i-MiEV and said, look, we understand the technology. We've been able to do it for years and years and years. Don't think we have one because we don't know how to do it. I absolutely don't think that at all. They were the first to market with a mass-produced electric vehicle. Yep. I just think that you've got Kia and you've got Hyundai who have just pressed the button and they're going, and their timing is just much better than Mitsubishi's. I think Mitsubishi didn't expect the take-up to be at this rate. And Sean actually said to me, he goes, look, only 2% of cars sold are electric vehicles. But if you look at that 2%, that is a 267% jump on this time last year to date July. It's, you don't have to be an actuarial student to work out that in 2 or 3 years' time, it could be 10% of the market.
Is it not also the case, Richard, that we've seen this plethora of new models arrive? So sales is one thing, but intent is another. And so many brands are just obviously red hot keen on getting ahead of the curve,
Yeah, length of the waiting list for those on the market suggests that the potential is well in excess of actual sales.
Could I also just mention, to get another two concepts on the table, 2015, so 2 years after that first one, they were offering up the EX concept, which was a twin motor, so an all-wheel drive, and it had 400 kilometer claimed range. The 270 kilowatt motors gave you 140 in total. It had, get this, an intelligent display in the center of the dash linked to the driver's smartphone. Wow, that's out there technology. And the 2017, so the year of the joining the alliance, they had the e-evolution concept, which was an interesting one. Again, four-wheel drive. It had some, electric camera mirrors and things, but the game hadn't moved on a whole lot by then. It was pretty much repackaging a similar kind of thing.
It hasn't. And look, I've gone through every single Mitsubishi website in the world, and I've counted 2 electric vehicles. You've got the AirTrek, which is a China only, and it's basically an Outlander, but it's an all-electric vehicle. Yeah. And then only 2 weeks ago, Mitsubishi Japan launched the EK Cross, which is a small K car electric vehicle. It's cute, but it's very Japanese in that it looks like a little bus, but it's about the size of a bread tin type of thing.
I mean, K cars, I'm a K car lover. I think we, despite safety question marks, I'd love to see some K cars, more K cars in this work. Anyway, but that's a whole nother story.
And back to the i-MiEV, I've been one of 4 adults in an i-MiEV, and I may not be Richard Berry height, but it was all the car 4 adults needed.
No, you may not be Richard Berry height.
I thought you meant I've been one for adults ever in.
Well, listen,
close.
While we're talking planes, trains, and dogs and cars, has taken the position of Mitsubishi and said, we gave you the i-MiEV. What more do you want? That's almost like one and done.
We did it.
Yeah, we've done it.
Okay, righto.
So fair comment, but that's the long and short of it, that it's no action at this point.
I think the company line, and I think it's a global company line. I don't think it's just Mitsubishi Australia. I don't think it's just Mitsubishi Australia's not, or Mitsubishi Global's not allowing Australia to have any electric vehicles. I actually don't think that they've got any electric vehicles to give us. And this is the company line that once the infrastructure is in place, once energy is green, and once consumers are ready, we'll do it. I actually think that's just trying to buy time until they have something they can bring to market.
I mean, product planning probably in any category, but motor cars most of all, because they're such an elaborate piece of machinery, is a dark art. And not everybody gets it 100% right all the time. So this whole electric wave, and do we go hybrid? Do we go plug-in? Do we go full EV? People are approaching it in different ways. Do we go hydrogen? The ones with the deepest pockets can do all of it. And the ones that maybe don't have the ultimate funding have to make a plunge in one direction or another.
And there's a real truth behind Mitsubishi's current strategy with the plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, and they've got 2, and they've got the Eclipse Cross and the Outlander, in that they cost more than a full EV or a series hybrid to produce, because you've got a bit of everything in this one car.
That's right.
You need to price it underneath the full EV and above the other. But anyway.
Here's what's going to happen. Electric vehicle sales are going to take off. They already are at 267%, but they're going to go through the roof. We're going to have way more electric vehicles than we're going to have chargers. People are going to be queuing around the block just to charge their car. The grid's going to collapse. But I tell you what, it's the only way that we're actually going to be able to do something about it. Right. Because we just, as I said, humans aren't great at planning for future events. We're much better at dealing with situations that arise in front of our eyes.
And there's a really important motivation behind the decision to buy an EV beyond environmental concerns, in that they are nice to drive.
Yes.
They are
forgetting petrol prices.
Refined. Yep. They are nice to drive and easy to drive.
Easy.
Well, the thing is, the three of us and our colleagues, we're in a position where we're a little bit ahead of that, in that we've been driving a lot of EVs lately, whereas people are possibly considering their next or the purchase after their current car as an EV. And I got to say, a lot of like recently, the BMW iX was just a really fantastic experience. I love driving that thing, and I'm looking forward to the new models that we're about to see. The one hang up I've got is about performance and sports cars with electric. I'm not there yet. I'm not really feeling the love for an electric sports car. Drove the Taycan. Yeah, it's fast and all that, but fast doesn't mean engagement, and that's just a stumbling block for me so far. But I'm really loving the electric cars that we've been seeing recently.
We're living in 2024, and it's pretty good, apart from Trump getting back in. Oh, spoiler alert!
Right, the Richard Berry time machine. All right,
Richard's internet is really good.
Really,
take him into the future.
All right, that's fantastic. Good discussion, and we'll see where Mitsubishi heads. We'll be watching with an eagle eye to see where they go with EVs in Australia, if anywhere, in the next little while. All right, with that, we will now move to the news desk this week in the news. And the idea is to give you a little taste of what's been clicking furiously on our site. And Richard, can I kick off with you? It's a story actually that you authored. Give us a taste of what Ampol's been up to, or will be up to at its retail sites around the country.
Okay. They're pulling out the petrol pumps and they're putting in electric chargers. Well, almost. So Ampol is going to be rolling out 120 chargers around Australia by December next year. By Christmas time next year, they'll have 120 Australia-wide. They're doing a 5-station service station pilot program. So there's one in Alexandria, which is the newest one, or the first one which opened. There's one in Castledine in Queensland. One's opening in Belmont, excuse me, end of this month, August.
Is Belmont near Newcastle?
Belmont in Western Australia.
Belmont in Western Australia. Okay.
And there's going to be another one in North Altona in Victoria as well. And then I think a second New South Wales site will be opening too. It's a trial run. The charge is 60 cents a kilowatt hour. And I went down and spoke to a couple of people, like a true journalist, and found out the other day how they're coping with the one in Alexandria.
Yeah.
The word was that it was slow, but I think these people were new electric vehicle owners, and they were coming to the realization that electric charging is slow, even on a fast charger.
Just interesting in itself, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it. Look, and I called BP actually, because I thought it'd be sloppy journalism to write a story just about Ampol. And I called BP and I said, look, I'm writing this story. What's BP doing? And they said that they will be rolling out 100 chargers over the next couple of years as well, starting at the end of this year. So it's all happening.
Cool.
Petrol stations are turning into charging stations.
And all the details are in your story,
yep.
For people that want to give that a click. Sorry, Mal, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's a lot of charge stations are currently sitting in the back of car parks, but how much nicer is it to go somewhere where there's a toilet?
Yep. And I think we've touched on before that the idea, and there's some trial sites. I think it is BP, Richard. Maybe you correct me if I'm wrong. That it's almost like a little. There's some shops, there's a lounge, there's accommodating people that have to wait a little while their car charges up.
And imagine how many Mars bars they're going to eat while they're
approach
waiting.
as well. Yeah.
One size Mars bars.
All right, I'll go next. This is a story that our own news editor Tung authored through the week, and he's got some intel on the next Mustang. And much and all, as we've just been talking about electrification and full electric cars, we're talking Ford Mustang, and his big headline is that the V8 will stay alive in the next update of that car, and in fact, it will have more power. Exactly how much power? It's around 500 horsepower in the old money. You can get all the details in the story. So they're getting that out of a 5-litre naturally aspirated engine. A few other details, some updates in the cabin around screens and the steering wheel and what have you. So really interesting update, because I suppose on the one hand, you've got people who are into V8s and all of that. There's apprehension like, it's going to be an electric future. Well, for the time being, it looks like you'll be able to still purchase a grunty, naturally aspirated engine, rear-wheel drive, 6-speed manual. You can have your 10-speed auto as well. So all of that old school stuff
at a reasonable price.
At a reasonable price. So
buy it before you can't. Like, seriously, I think there are lots of people who are thinking, is now the right time to buy an electric vehicle? I'd say no. Now is the right time to buy the biggest petrol engine vehicle you can get, because there'll be plenty of time to buy an EV later.
Well, maybe it's the time to buy it, drain all the fluids, hermetically seal it, and set it aside for like half a decade.
They'll be illegal. They'll be banned. They'll have dogs sniffing them out.
Are you going to store some petrol as well, James? Tupperware?
Look, I think my theory is that gasoline will go full circle, and you used to go and buy it at the drugstore, the chemist. Now it's everywhere. Then it'll be this niche purchase that you buy at a special place in little bottles, and you fill your car and all that. It'll be like it'll go full circle.
Yeah,
it'll be for enthusiasts, like buggy whips. It'll be the same thing. Okay,
buggy
now Mal,
whips, what? Anyway.
Fill us in. Have you seen Other People's Money? It's the movie Other People's Money. I think it's a Danny DeVito scene. Anyway, now Mal, your news coverage relates to a story that our own Matt Campbell authored through the week.
Right back to reality, but also not quite reality yet, or the reality we wish it would be. So Hyundai makes a Casper SUV that is a tiny SUV, and you'd think they already made a tiny SUV in the Venue, and then there's the Kona and the Tucson and the Santa Fe. So there's quite a spectrum of SUVs, but they also have one in overseas markets called the Casper, maybe limited to South Korea at this point. And it is funky as all hell.
It's so cute.
Inside and out. It is cool. And it would be really great. And Matt's arguing that they should bring it to Australia.
Well, sorry, Mel, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, for the key purpose of enabling Hyundai to offer a car for under $20,000.
That's it.
Which is really hard to find these days.
Yeah. That's the thing, because Hyundai through force of circumstance, labor costs in the domestic market in their plants in Korea went up as standard of living went up. And they've kind of vacated that entry point to the market. So this could be an opportunity to get back in there.
Yeah. It's cute. It's like a venue, only it's just
smaller,
adorable.
Well, people on YouTube, you'll be able to see some pictures and others. The story's there on our site, so go and have a look at it. It's Matt's opinion. It's his pitch, I suppose, to Hyundai that we need it and they need it.
And if you agree, please write to your local member, Matt Campbell, care of CarsGuide.
Yes, the Honourable Matt Campbell.
That's right. All right.
Don't know about that.
So with that, we will go to cars that are actually in our garage.
Mm.
Okay, now, real metal, fresh metal that we've been steering, and I would like to kick it off with you, please, Mal. It's a vehicle that we've, shall we say, had a little bit of coverage of lately, but it's your most recent experience with it.
Yeah, finally, I've managed to drive the new Ranger, which is the launch of the year to date, and quite arguably the entire year. But particularly, I've driven it in the Wildtrak V6, guys. So finally, there's a V6 in the Ranger. The Wildtrak is the current top of the range until they launch the Raptor. So V6 diesel. And I'll give you a little teaser. We have done everything you might want to do with it and compared it directly against all the models, all the most important models you might be considering buying it against.
Whoa.
Did you take it to the Wednesday night street tracks?
Yes.
Just a teaser, James.
Okay, sorry.
And the brothers kebab.
Everything will be revealed
down the road.
but sorry, whose place?
Just a kebab shop.
Yes. Just
I'll spend a lot of time there, won't
Always,
I spend a lot of time.
Anyway, but what I can tell you is that it is a very, very good ute. As Byron found at the launch, as we've expected it to be, as the model before, was reigned as the best ute you could buy until the very end. So you'd hope so. But it's also far from perfect. So keep an eye on carsguide.com.au and our associated platforms for more.
Oh,
okay,
what's
that's good.
An associated platform? Like Auto Trader. Is that one?
Yeah,
YouTube,
certainly.
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. What else?
We've got a TikTok, don't we?
We do.
We do.
TikTok.
We do. Now, Richard,
Mm.
you've been driving a car with the same corporate badge.
Yes.
It's a different model, but
Yes.
you've been with it for some time.
Yes. So probably from the most popular Ford model to, which is, I guess, one of their other Ford models. That's the Ford Escape. It's a really, really good SUV. It's just that nobody buys it because they're buying Toyota RAV4s and Kia Sportages and Hyundai Tucsons and Outlanders and things like that. But it's a mid-size SUV. It's a 5-seater. It's really comfortable. It's great to drive. It's about $39,000, which is too expensive, which is probably the reason why it doesn't sell very well. You can buy a Toyota RAV4 for about 10 grand less.
Do you reckon it needs to be low 30s or at 30s?
It needs to be 29,990.
Yeah.
And then they'll sell loads of them.
Like the Tucson.
Yeah, like the Tucson. It's made in Cologne in Germany. It's well built. Things I don't like about it, it's got a dial for the shifter, but they don't do dials like Kia does dials. Kia just has park, reverse, and drive, so you can just fling it like that from reverse to drive.
When you're rushing to park it, you mean?
Yes, when you're
screaming
rushing
kid
to
on the
park
back seat.
Yeah. But with Ford, they've got every gear on there. They've got park, drive, reverse, everything on there, and you can get stuck on it.
When you were mentioning that flicking from drive to reverse, Richard, I was imagining an old school rocker test where you just, pin it and just go reverse to drive. And
you can do that. Actually,
that's some serious testing.
I was visualizing Highway Patrol J-turns.
Oh, yes.
Yes, the other time you go reverse drive without looking because you're flicking the wheel at the same time. Avoiding the scenery.
Yeah, that's awesome. Right. So look, it's been good. It's a long-term test. The first installment of that is coming out in about a week's time. We'll be doing a video a little bit later on as well. But it's getting the full Berry family treatment like the Outlander did. So
super. Yeah. All right, that's good. Berry family sounds sweet.
It does.
Now, I can round us out with the Hyundai Palisade, and our story on the updated Palisade went up today, so it's fresh news. The big news is the entry-level model's gone, so you're now talking 65, nearly 66,000 entry point, up to about 80,000 at the top. Elite and Highlander grade only now. And you can have a 3.8-litre petrol Atmo V6 in front-wheel drive models and a 2.2-litre turbo diesel 4 in all-wheel drive models. 7 and 8 seat, as previously, and an 8-speed auto. And there you go. It's been refreshed outside and in, bit of interior zhuzhing. New tech, improved safety significantly. And the pluses for me, the refinement. It's got these new dampers in the mix with an extra sliding valve to manage frequency, and it does a top job. It really does ride well. There's extra sound insulation. The glass in the rear doors is thicker, and you can feel all that adding up to a more refined drive. It's huge. It's still huge. So practicality, it's pretty good. The safety's been updated. There's been a lot about Palisade safety. Recently scoring a 4-star result. It's now up to 5 stars. It's had things like a front center airbag, some rear brake assist, multi-collision brake has been added as well. On the downside, the petrol's pretty thirsty, and there's no hybrid. So, and the steering feel is it's okay. It's not great, but I think this car has the value overall to stand up as a really solid choice for people looking for a big family SUV. It's a hybrid powertrain would be nice, but the Santa Fe will offer hybrid power later this year, mind you, so that might come in time. But that was my take on that car. I think it's actually a pretty good package.
Can I point out it also has proper third row airbags, unlike a lot of cars?
Yes. Cover all 3 rows. And I got to tell you, even though there's the cheeky kind of divot in the hood liner to allow your head to go up higher, I was able to sit pretty comfortably back there. So you're 3 in the back, not adults, kids will be fine. But I thought it was pretty impressive. And you get your USBs, you get some vents in the ceiling, get all kinds of things to make life just a little more comfortable.
It's very American, though. I that front, I love what they've done with the restyling of the front. It looks tough but it's such an American
transformer. It looks like a transformer.
It does, yeah.
Totally.
Well, they call it Palisade. Sounds like Escalade. Now it looks a bit more like an Escalade.
Well, Planes, Trains and Dogs and Cars has chipped in again, says, couldn't they make the grille just a bit bigger, though? Which would overtake the entire car.
Stand by for the next phase.
Actually, mentioning that, the tricky thing is that the transformer bit that looks like a robot's ears on the grille are actually the indicators, and they're tinted grey. So it looks like part of the grille until they illuminate, which is kind of tricky.
Yeah, you can't see through them, but the light can see through.
And a nice little detail.
Fancy.
I liked it anyway, but I'm easily impressed. Okay, now look, with that, we've reached the finish line.
What?
So it's time to say
quick.
Thanks to all our listeners and viewers, and thank you, Mal.
Pleasure, James. You're welcome.
And thank you, Richard.
Thank you, guys.
And well done to our production multitasker, Mr. Brett Sullivan. His mechanical sympathy is questionable, though, because today he's wearing a T-shirt saying, "Don't be gentle, it's a rental." Jump into the conversation. Cars Guide is on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Or traditionalists can email us at comments@carsguide.com.au. Listeners, please take a moment to rate and review the show. 5 is the preferred number of stars. And viewers, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the Cars Guide channel so you can stay on top of all our latest content. But before we go, I was picking up my car from dealer service this week and saw a mechanic wedged under the steering wheel of a Commodore. And it looked like he was trying to disassemble the entire lower part of the dash.
What model Commodore was it?
Oh, I think it was a VN, early one.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, asked the manager what
ignition barrel issues.
I asked the manager what was going on, and he said the owner's toddler had managed to drop a bunch of coins down through the ventilation system, and he was trying to get them out. So he called out to the young bloke to see if he was making any progress, and the response was no change yet.
Ah, God.
Wow. Well, he doesn't have to worry about that because VNs are worth $1 million now.
They are. I learned to drive on a VN SS.
Aren't you still learning?
I am. I'm almost there. A couple more hours to go, and I got my P's.
That's hard.